is the starting grid of the opening round of the BRT Endurance Series at Barcelona. On pole position is the solo entry of Sauna in the McLaren. Alongside in the front row is the 183 McLaren with Ricciardi behind the wheel. On the second row in P3 is Nordell in the first of the Aston Martins, and alongside is Byrne in the BRT Bentley. P5 is Prevot in another McLaren, and P6 is Wallace in the Can-Am Motorsport entry Aston Martin. P7 is the other solo entry of Leiter, the Brazilian in the Lamborghini, and P8 is the full Norwegian lineup of the 666 Aston Martin. P9 is the Spaniard Esteban in the 148 Ferrari, and P10 is Cheng in the Honda NSX. And rounding off the grid is Fowler in the DM Motorsport Aston Martin in P11. So here they come, running towards the light. Sauna a bit ahead, or maybe Ricciardi a bit too far behind. It looks like there's a bit off balance there at the beginning of the race, but the lights will go green, and it's a good getaway from the two McLarens and a great getaway from the Bentley and the Aston just behind. The front four get away really well. Leiter in the Lamborghini also gets a good start. Leiter getting so much space there. He's moving over to the inside. The Bentley and Ricciardi's McLaren being squeezed out to the outside. They really have nowhere to go. The Bentley loses 2 positions. Ricciardi looks like he loses 1 to the Aston of Nordell, who actually looks like he has the inside for this corner, and he's going to take the lead of the race. And not only that, Ricciardi with the inside line into the next corner might be able to move back up into P2, and yes he does, and Sauna drops down to P3, losing 2 positions at the start there. The other big loser is the Bentley of Byrne, also losing 2 positions at the start, as everyone safely navigates through. And the Bentley of Byrne really being squeezed out there by the pink DM Motorsport Aston Martin. So far so good, and Sauna makes a mistake here, and it looks like Wallace in the Can-Am Motorsport Aston Martin has a good run at him here. And let's have a look what happens. Sauna moving over to the inside to stay defensive. Wallace is going to have to go right round the outside, and Sauna looks like he goes a bit deep, and he touches Ricciardi and spins out the fellow McLaren, and the two McLarens come together, and he has to take to the escape route, and he will be dropping to the back of the field, and I think so will Ricciardi after that contact. What happened there? I think Sauna was too late on the brakes. Let's have a look at the replay. So here we are on board Ricciardi, so he gets a good exit, but not really good enough to have a look. But behind, Wallace in the Can-Am Motorsport Aston gets a great run, and I think Sauna just tries to outbrake him and ends up outbraking himself and straight into the back of Ricciardi. Ricciardi really nothing he could do, and he had to let the whole field go by before he could rejoin. So P1 and P2, and now P10 and P11. Not a great start from them two, but a long way still to go. So the 149 Bentley losing a couple positions and then being aggressively squeezed out by the DM Motorsport Aston. Now trying to make up some ground to make up some more positions, and the DM Motorsport Aston goes deep and it backs up the Bentley, and I don't know if this is Aston working with Aston, but that backing up the Bentley has allowed the 666 lime green Aston to get right in the slipstream of the Bentley, and the straight line speed of the Aston looks like the Bentley really can't do anything to defend that move, and now the Aston on the inside surely will be moving up. Yes, he does, down the inside. The Bentley actually goes a bit too far wide, and that's opened the gap for the 149 Ferrari. The Spaniard Esteban now has the inside for the next corner. Oh, and they touch him somehow. The Bentley stays straight, and up ahead we see the 666 Aston now making a move on the DM Motorsport Aston, and that is a great move down the inside. But it looks like the DM Motorsport Aston's going to have a look down the inside here, and that's a lunge. And it looks like they came together, and he's spinning to the inside, and oh, into the Bentley. Well, the Bentley into the Aston, and we have to have a look at what happened there, because I don't think the Bentley could have done anything to avoid that. But now, not only has the Bentley lost a couple positions, it's now got front end damage, and Ricciardi also trying to make up some positions right on the back of that Bentley. Is he going to try and make a move at the end of this straight? I mean, you can see the damage on the front of that Bentley. That will be affecting them. The McLaren does have damage on the rear though, so a bit even, and the Bentley goes a bit deep, and Ricciardi sees the opportunity, goes down the inside, and he'll have the inside for the next corner, and Ricciardi is now up into P6, and that is already a pretty good recovery within 2 laps by Ricciardi. Let's have a look on board Byrne here. This is where the touch with Esteban came, and somehow he manages to keep the car straight. So now up ahead we see the 666 Johansson. Great move down the inside of the DM Motorsport entry, and here Fowler in the pink Aston tries to go for a move down the inside, a very late lunge, and yeah, the two come together. It's spinning to the inside. Yeah, Byrne goes to the outside, and then the Aston flicks over to the outside, and Byrne has nowhere to go and loses 2 positions and now has front end damage. Really unfortunate from the Bentley, and now he has to nurse this Bentley for the rest of his stint, it looks like. So this is on board Ricciardi. He was making a move on the NSX of Cheng, and I think Cheng just shuts the door on him, and somehow Ricciardi keeps that McLaren going. And from his perspective, let's see what it looked like. So as you see there, the pink Aston spins to the inside, suddenly flicks to the outside. The Bentley has nowhere to go, and whoa, that was some scary stuff, and great reactions by Ricciardi to manage to stop the McLaren in time. So Ricciardi will have another attempt now of getting past Cheng in the NSX. It looks like most of the overtakes are either done on the start-finish straight or on this back straight here. Here he comes. Is he gonna have a look? Down the inside, yes he does. Up into P6. Yep. He's got the inside for the next. The NSX goes wide, and Ricciardi now moves up into P6. And that is a great overtake. And he'll be looking to hunt down the Spaniard up ahead. So Esteban is now on the back of Johansson, and this could get interesting. Obviously the home race for Esteban. He'll be wanting to get a good performance for the team here, and so far so good by him. He's gained a few positions from the start, and he'll be looking to gain 1 more. Not close enough. However, Johansson goes a bit deep. Esteban gets a good run out of the corner. Is he going to have a look down the inside here? Yes, he does. Johansson goes deep, and that is... oh, maybe not. I was going to say a beautiful move, but they left enough space for each other. Some good racing there, and that's allowed Johansson to have a bit of a fight back, but Esteban with the inside for the next corner and gets a bit twitchy on the exit, but I think he has enough momentum. But that has allowed Ricciardi to catch up massively, and Ricciardi... ooh, Johansson almost going to the back of the Ferrari there, but is Ricciardi going to have a look at making a move on Johansson now? Look how close he is, bumper to the bumper. Is he going to send it down the inside? No, he thinks better of it. These three are having a good battle here, and they have similar pace, so it'll be interesting to see within the next few laps which order these three will be in, whether this will still be the same order. I see Ricciardi making a couple of moves. He seems to be the quickest out of the three, but it's whether he can actually find a way past. So they're all three of them catching lighter in the solo entry Lamborghini up ahead. So this is going to be interesting. It could become a 4-way battle for P3, I think it will be. Right now it's the battle for P4, but if they catch lighter, it will be for P4, and Ricciardi gets sideways there and somehow catches the McLaren, and that was a close one by Ricciardi, but he manages to catch the McLaren, and he has a bit of ground to make up now. Johansson, look at the power of that Aston Martin in a straight line in the slipstream. The Aston has so much straight line speed. Esteban goes defensive. He knows this track well. He knows where to position the car. Johansson's going to have to go the long way round. And he's not going to make it on this corner, but he does have the inside for turn 2. But turn 3 goes back to the outside. It means Esteban has the inside, and he covers that really well. Now up into turn 4. Not really overtaking opportunity on here, and look how much Ricciardi has closed in because of these two battling. Now turn 5 is where Esteban got past Johansson. Is Johansson going to try and make a move back? No, he's too far back. It's a good exit by Johansson, using all the curve necessary. He's going to have a little look. Not the greatest place to make an overtake, and whew, that was close. They somehow don't come together. He backs out of it enough. Now this is the place where he'll be wanting to make the overtake. The Aston has the straight line speed. He needs a good exit. However, Ricciardi also gets an absolutely amazing exit. There's Leiter up the road. And this battling has allowed him to get further ahead. Ricciardi looks to the inside. Johansson goes deep. Ricciardi goes deep. Ricciardi now has the inside line for the next turn. And Johansson sticking it right around the outside. And now Ricciardi has the outside. Johansson's still there on the inside. Not giving Ricciardi any room, and he gets a bit squiggly on the exit, but he'll have the inside for the next corner. Ricciardi tries to switch back, hits the curb. That's not going to help. But here he goes. He fakes deep, which means Johansson goes deep, which means Ricciardi can get a better exit. And look at this, into the final corner, side by side. They touch slightly, and Ricciardi has the momentum to take the position. Absolutely amazing battling by these two, and overall a great overtake by Ricciardi, and some pretty good defensive moves by Johansson, but not quite enough to hold on to the position. However, they asked him, look at that straight line speed, and Ricciardi brakes late to try and avoid, and he goes deep, I think. Yes, he does. Has to catch the rear, and he's going to have to let Johansson back through, and he does that into turn 3, and Ricciardi's going to have another look into turn 4. All that hard work to get past, and he's now back behind. Is he going to try and move? No, he's a bit too far back. Maybe on the next lap. He was on board Ricciardi for this overtake. So Johansson goes deep. He goes to the inside. You think he has the move done here, especially that the next corner's a left-hander, but Johansson hangs it around the outside. Now on the inside, Ricciardi has to give him enough room, and then he tries to do a switchback here, but accidentally clips the curb, which will settle the car slightly, and then here fakes to the inside, makes Johansson go deep, and that allows Ricciardi to do a beautiful switchback. Really clever driving. The touch slightly here, but brilliant, clever driving by Ricciardi to fake that move to make Johansson go deep. And what a brilliant overtake, and then he just loses it by just braking a slightly bit too late to try and outbrake Johansson, because the pace of the Aston Martin in a straight line is incredible. And here, yeah, just loses the back end, has to catch it, has to go across the curves, and has to hand the position back over to Johansson. But what an overtake originally by Ricciardi. Brilliant racing by these two. Attempt number 2 by Ricciardi. You can see him flashing his lights. Now this is where he made the move originally last time. He's going to want to make it stick this time. Here he goes. Late on the brakes, down the inside. And not much of a fight by Johansson this time. Johansson, I think, knows Ricciardi's the faster driver. And Ricciardi, really good, smooth overtake. And he finally gets past the Norwegian. So here they are catching Esteban, who has been on the radio to his teammate about tyre wear. The tyre's feeling, losing a lot of grip. And look at the speed he's carrying through here. You can tell he's losing a lot of grip. The car is a lot slower, and that's allowed Ricciardi to get right on the back of the Ferrari. The potential to make a move here. Esteban positions the car really well on the inside, and that means Ricciardi can't find a way through. However, Esteban goes slightly deep, and Ricciardi now has the inside, but Esteban has the inside for the next corner. Ricciardi's going to have to go the long way round. Look at that, brilliant door-to-door racing, still side by side. And Esteban has the inside for the next 2 corners. And Johansson also trying to get through. And Ricciardi sticks it right around the outside and has the inside. And that is brilliant. And Johansson now, he sees the opportunity to go down the inside. And he's going to have to make it into the next corner. And he's got past the grunt of the Aston. It allows him to get past. And now he positions his car to the inside to stop Esteban trying to re-overtake. And Esteban drops from P4 down to P6. 2 positions in 1 lap. 2 brilliant overtakes by Ricciardi and Johansson. And Esteban on some worn tyres, struggling a bit now for pace. And loses 2 positions. And Johansson now trying to stick to the back of Ricciardi to pull him along, just like he has done the last couple of laps. And Esteban decides to go into the pits. It's a wise move. He's finally lost the positions. His tyres are on the end of their life. So, after the first round of stops, the lead car is the 847 of Nordell. They haven't changed drivers. They still haven't done a driver swap yet, but they have done a pit stop and they still lead this race. P2, we have the Can-Am Motorsport entry with Regan Letzkeman at the wheel now. Wallace handed over to the Canadian, who is now going to have to try and get some inroads on P1 as they come into the chicane now. Beautiful livery on this car. P3, after dropping to the back of the grid, is now Murray in the car. Ricciardi handing over to his fellow countryman. And they've done a brilliant job to get up into P3, and they have the pace to try and challenge the front 2 Aston Martins. And not far behind him is Leiter, the solo entry in his Lamborghini number 169, and he has done a really good job so far as a solo driver to manage to hold on to P4. In P5 is the 666 Aston Martin. The Norwegians are putting in some great lap times. So Johansson handing over to Herkova, and not too far behind him is the Ferrari, who the Spaniard has now handed over to Steven Krajaj, the Belgian, now trying to catch the Aston ahead after Esteban lost the position at the end of his stints, but still in good condition. And not too far behind them is now Watson in the BRT Bentley, and getting a bit sideways around turn 3 there. He's really pushing. So Byrne had to nurse this Bentley for about 40 minutes with damage before the pit stop, and now with fresh bodywork, Watson is pushing the car to its limit and catching the Ferrari ahead, which is what he would have wanted. They wouldn't have wanted to be this far down, but with what happened to them, they're doing quite well. Behind them is currently the South African Bosman in the broken brakes entry. Beautiful Gulf liveried McLaren. Privot, the Frenchman, handing over to his teammate. And a pretty quiet race from them so far. Behind them is the NSX, which Cheng handed over to Hoyer, a car that they both complained that's struggling to keep on track, and they're just doing as well as they can. And behind them is the DM Motorsport. It's now Chan behind the wheel after that collision on turn 2. They are now at the back of the grid. Only one retirement so far, and that is the Brazilian solo entry of Sauna. Here comes Watson, and he has managed to catch the back of the 666 Aston. And he's already got past the Ferrari of Krajaj, and he's now right on the back of the Aston Martin. And he's been quite quiet since he's been by himself most of the race, but quietly putting in some impressive lap times. And here he is in P5, right on the back of the 666 Aston. As you can see, fresh bodywork for the Bentley after the collision at the start. And Byrne did a good job to nurse the car home. And Watson gets a bit sideways there, and he goes a bit deep, and that is gonna, yeah, make his entry, well, his exit even, to the final turn not as good. He's actually lost a lot of ground there, so he'll be disappointed with that, because he was right on the back of that Aston and could have got him into turn 1, but we'll have to try on the next lap because of that mistake. Watson on the back of, I think, Herkabert? No, Johansson at the wheel. On the back of Johansson at the wheel of the 666 Aston. And again, getting a bit out of shape into the final corner. However, he takes it much better. Look at that. He's right on the back of the Aston, and Johansson goes into the pits to make his stop. And he couldn't overtake him. He'll overtake him off track now, but unfortunately could not overtake him on track, although he probably would like to be in clean air right now, because he can put in some really good laps. So by the time it comes to his pit stop, he will hopefully come out ahead of the Norwegian Aston Martin if he can put in some good laps here. However, Pashov catching him. So here we see Pashov right on the back of Watson, as we predicted. So Pashov will be battling for P1 and P2, and Watson, this is for P5. And the lapped car moves out the way for Watson. And Pashov also sends it down the inside. He thinks this is his lap to try and make a move on the Bentley. So this is for P3. However, Watson is battling more for P5, and Pashov is battling for P1 and 2. So different points of their race they're at. And here they come into the chicane. A beautiful chicane by Watson there, and he gets a really good exit, and Pashov is not close enough again to make a move, even though that Aston does have the straight line speed. And it doesn't look like Watson is going to hand over the position at all. I mean, he could, since Watson still has a stop to do and Pashov doesn't. So different strategy. Pashov on fresher tyres has a little look, but not close enough. And Watson doesn't look like he's going to hand it over to Pashov. Pashov's going to have to try and make a move and make this overtake fairly. And it is for position on track, so Watson has every right to stay ahead. And I think Watson thinks the longer he keeps Pashov behind, the more warm Pashov's tyres will be, and Watson on fresh tyres at the end could re-catch him, and they're both catching lighter ahead. So another lap, and another lap of Pashov trying to find a way past Watson, and Watson not really driving defensively, but doing a good job of having decent pace on worn tyres to stay ahead of Pashov. And Pashov is going to have to retry here on the start-finish straight as they come towards the chicane, and Pashov loses the back end, and around he goes, and that is a big blow, and that's exactly what Watson would have wanted. And that is some worn tyres that will probably have flat spots, but it looks like there's an issue. We sit on board here. What is going on? Pashov reversing off track to get out of harm's way, but something's not quite right. Now they're on the radio to the team, and it sounds like it's something to do with a mechanical brake failure, but an interesting one. It looks like the brakes locked as Pashov was coming around the corner and never unlocked. The brakes are currently still locked. As you can see here, he's trying to accelerate and the car just won't move. We can see there the brake light is on and he is not pressing the brake pedal, and the car is stuck. Here we can hear the engine revving and the wheels trying to spin, and the car is just locked with the brakes on. He finally gets going and almost rejoins into the other Aston Martin, but that is a huge blow, because not only have they lost positions now, whereas they were battling potentially for the win of this race, yeah, he's now going to have to come into the pits to try and fix this brake issue. And that is a massive blow for this team, and that will be really, they'll be so gutted, because that has blown their chance of a win and even maybe a chance of a podium. we were looking at that disastrous moment for Pashov, the other team, this is the same team, but the Ferrari entry of this team, also had a moment. Let's have a look at what happened. Apparently, Krahaj here had a moment. Let's have a look. And around he goes and loses the back end and loses the position to Herkaba there, and somehow manages just to love tap the wall, so not too much damage, but that could be some flat spots on the Ferrari now, and as he tries to get the car going again, that's a lot of time lost and some positions lost, and that is not what they would have wanted at this point in the race. So here we're looking at Watson, who is doing his final stop. There's about an hour to go, or just under, about 55 minutes to go, and here the tyres, fresh tyres go on, no driver change. Watson is double stinting here. The thumb goes up from the mechanic, the car drops off the jacks, and here he goes. Now what we're going to find out is whether he jumped the 666 Aston. Remember, the 666 Aston pitted when it was like less than a second ahead, and here comes Watson. Let's have a look behind. And there we see the Aston Martin in the background, and what a great job from the Bez Racing team and Watson in the Clean A, put in some brilliant laps, and he has nicely come ahead of Herkaba for P5, and that is brilliant. So now they're in P5, they'll be trying to hunt down Leiter in the Lamborghini that's currently in P4, and that is brilliant. Brilliant driving, brilliant strategy. And the Bentley has done a good job to make its way up. Great recovery drive by them so far. Talking of recovery drives, just behind them is the race leader, which is Murray. He has yet to do the second pit stop, but they could potentially win this race. You see the blue flags being waved here as Murray is within a second. It doesn't look like Watson is going to give way to the McLaren. I don't think Murray is being impeded, but that's deciding whether Murray feels like he's being impeded. And the blue flag's again being shown there. Watson doesn't want to let him through because he feels if he lets him through, he may lose time to Herkaba, and that'll allow Herkaba to try and make a move. And Watson believes that on fresher tyres, he will pull away from the race leader. Now again, it's up to Murray. If he feels he's being impeded, Watson will probably have to let him through or receive a penalty. But as we see here, Watson now starting to open up a bit of a gap. On fresher tyres, I think Watson will be able to pull away from the race leader here and pull away from Herkaba, which is vital for him. So here, Murray at the end of his stint has to pit this lap, doesn't have enough time on his driver's stint to stay out any longer, and here he comes into the pits to hand back over to Riccardi. Great pit entry there, beautifully done. And now the interesting thing is, where is P2? P2 is the Can-Am Motorsport Aston Martin, which will currently have Wallace behind the wheel, the American. And here he is, and he's just at the end of Sector 2. And he's behind a lapped car, not close enough for the lapped car to be impeding this lap, but he needs to really get a good Sector 3. As the Delta shows, it doesn't look like Wallace is close enough to remain in the lead of this race. It looks like Riccardi will come out in P1. He either come into the chicane. Where is Riccardi in the McLaren? He's coming, he's on the pit exit, and I think he is well ahead. We'll have a look here. Let's have a look back, and that is the lapped car of the DM Motorsport. So Wallace should be right at the start of the straight, and Riccardi comes out well in P1, and that, not only is it a brilliant drive, but a brilliant recovery drive from the back of the grid, and now leading this race comfortably on fresher tyres with just over half an hour to go. Bar a mistake, this is one of the greatest drive of this team. Brilliant drive by Murray and Riccardi. join us on board, Riccardi, because not only are they now in the lead of this race, he's just gone purple in the first sector, and he's going purple here in the second sector. And if he manages to nail this third sector, and that's a beautiful hairpin, this is the lead of the race and possibly a race win. And along with it could come the extra point for fastest lap. Has to correct the steering slightly as the McLaren oversteers, but that's just natural. Here he comes brilliantly, and now into the section of the track that can make or break your lap. Takes the first chicane brilliantly. Takes the exit of the chicane brilliantly. Again, corrects the steering slightly, but that's a great exit. And here he comes onto the start-finish straight. What lap is it gonna be? It's a 45.0, and what a lap that is. And that is the fastest lap of the race. And Riccardi commanding in front. Absolutely brilliant drive by him so far. While we were watching that on board of Riccardi, big news as there was a yellow flag wave for P3, and what happened to Watson here? Catching a lapped car, and he just loses the back end, and that is a big shunt into the wall, and the Bentley seems to drive away from it. I mean, I think he's glad he's in the Bentley. That thing can take an impact. However, that was a big impact, and surely there is damage to the car. The car doesn't look too badly damaged. That right hand side looks heavily damaged because that is the part that hit the wall as he comes past the lapped car now. But that, and yeah, a bit twitchy. He's on the radio saying the car does not feel its best. He is 15 seconds ahead of P4, which is Herkaba in the 666 Aston, but can he keep those 15 seconds ahead? Because he will be struggling with that Bentley with that right hand side damage. We have to see how these next few laps go, because 15 seconds is quite a gap, but a gap that you could lose easily. There we see Herkaba in the background coming onto the final straight as Watson enters turn one. He takes it fairly well, and he takes two a bit deep, but not too bad. Lap 89, and this very rubbered in McLaren, the racing cars look brilliant. This hits a bit too much curb, but he won't care because here he is into the chicane one final time. What a brilliant drive by Murray and Riccardi. Great recovery drive. The wipers on, the lights are flashing, and here across the line we have our race one winners of the 2.6 hours of Barcelona, Riccardi and Murray, and a brilliant drive by the two of them to get into P1. And not too far behind them, coming into the chicane now, and P2 is the Can-Am Motorsport entry Aston Martin, and a brilliant drive by these two, really consistent, and they come home on the second step of the podium. A great drive by these two, and Wallace brings it home. And there we see the yellow Aston of Herkaba. Big news there, but before we talk about that news, even bigger news here for Watson. He's on the radio saying there is a rear brake failure. As you can see, look at the glow of those rear brakes. He's saying that the rear brakes aren't responding anymore. The car is really twitchy under braking. Here he comes round the corner. Can he cruise home? And he loses the back end, and this is not good news. Into the wall he goes, and now he does have a 30-second gap, but he'll be frantically searching for reverse. He gets the car reversed, gets going again. Look at those rear brakes glowing. He gets onto the little escape tarmac, and now he has only 3 corners to go. Can he bring the Bentley home? Lighter in P4 is now 20 seconds back. The delta is just dropping and dropping. Look at those rear brakes. Someone needs a fire extinguisher at the end of this race because those are on fire. And he does bring the car home. The Bez Racing team, brilliant recovery drive by them also. But that was a scary, scary ending. And that could have been a lot worse. And what we were interrupted is Herkaba in the 666 entry Aston. They messed up their stint and had to pit on the final lap to switch drivers again, and that allowed Leiter to get P4.